Everybody, welcome. It is a great joy and an honor to have you. I'm Father Ben Bradshaw, and we are here at St. Michael's Church and our Soul Food Priest filming, and this is the first episode. And
we're so excited.
We're so honored and blessed to have everybody here. I'm here with the beautiful Sylvia Vega and the beautiful Kira Roddy.
Hello.
What a joy to have you guys here. By the way, great job with the studio. This is amazing. It's incredible.
A lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and beautiful, beautiful moments.
I mean, it's amazing.
Well, and you never know exactly what the Lord is going to call you to. Set design was not one of those things I ever thought would be. And, when you hired me, set design was
we
not
work for the
one
church
of
for a reason, just saying.
Yeah.
Well, just so that there's no confusion here. I'm clueless. Like, I did nothing here at all. Captain Clueless. And I showed up. I did, however, bring some pastries. We have almond apple tarts here with frangipane. Do you guys remember what frangipane is?
I'm sure, yes, we do, but please remind us.
Yes, okay, so
cheese.
if you're not familiar with frangipane, it's like an almond cream that you make with ground almonds, a little bit of amaretto, lots of butter, and it's really cool because you can use it with a lot of different stuff. So this has got frangipane, it's got what's called pâte sucrée or sugar dough, which is like a shortbread dough, and Granny Smith apples, apricot glaze, because this is how much I love you guys.
Oh my gosh! Okay, let's get a close up of this. Okay, so look how amazing these.
I
look.
mean, they're gorgeous.
Can we take one now or later?
Whatever the Holy Spirit leads you to.
I mean, I think the Holy Spirit says now.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
let's go ahead and just put it here so that we can have it.
Be not afraid.
So this was one of the things that.
You want to grab one?
Yeah. Now that we are recording live and you can see our faces, now you get to see us like shove our faces with food, and we'll try to make it look prettier.
This is for people that may not know what the podcast is, what we do. This is what we do. We don't actually do anything productive. We eat.
We just eat.
Yes.
Okay, and so and the good news is we have black belts in eating. Like, we have a doctorate degree in this. Okay, so
Is there anything higher than black belt?
not that I know of.
Okay, black belt.
Yeah.
I'd be that
So
low.
this is fun. So basically, what we do is we talk about half of our time is about food, and the other time we somewhere throw in God in there. I mean, Jesus is so needy, so we have to talk about him.
We love him.
Whatever. And so,
we love you.
Yes. So
All for God.
somewhere
All for
in there we'll
him.
talk about the Lord, but. And we've been doing this, 2.5 years?
Yeah,
2 years,
I think
something like
so,
that.
yeah.
So this is the first time we filmed it.
Yeah.
And Kira and Sylvia have put together our studio. And you'll notice when you look around, it has both a theology and food theme to it. And I'm especially honored and blessed that one of my patron saints, Julia Child, is here with me, aptly looking over my shoulder, saying, "Benjamin, don't mess it up." And so here we are.
awesome.
Here we are. Sorry, Julia. And so, by the way, we did have a halo around her, but they erased it. So just saying. So, this is one of the things I got an email maybe 3 weeks ago, something like this, and you guys can help me with this because. I have no idea why they were asking me this because I'm a celibate man, okay? But this is the way the email goes. Dear Father Ben, can you explain to me why mothers get food cravings when they're pregnant? And I'm like, wow, let me draw on my extensive experience with that.
Oh, we got plenty of experience on that one.
So, first of all, is that true? That that moms get food cravings.
100%.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Show us off.
And by the way, I did a little research on this. And what I read, and people can correct me because I'm Captain Clueless, primarily the first trimester.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It said 75% of a mother's cravings comes
Yeah.
the first trimester.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. I think it kicks off like full force. And I think that's where, because the hormones start coming in, you see all the changes. So it comes in full force. And so, I mean, for me, it's been different with all the 3 different children that I have. So, but I think it kind of sort of lingered through, all the pregnancy.
Yeah.
But it's like
full force.
Full force monster right at the beginning.
Yeah.
So what did you want to eat?
Okay, so
man.
the most recent, which was Elena, who's the youngest, is 6 now. This is not very healthy, but it was a Coca-Cola from McDonald's.
Okay, only from McDonald's.
Only from McDonald's. It couldn't be like, I'm going to bring you a 2-liter to keep on the side of the bed.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I needed the large extra ice Coca-Cola from McDonald's because it burned my mouth, the gas or whatever it is. And it was delicious. So every time I would go to work, on the way out, McDonald's.
Really?
On the way back home, because there was one like 2 blocks away from my house.
Okay.
McDonald's. It was,
Yeah.
Wow.
I saw that the second trimester. I saw it physically on my body.
Okay,
That is the
so
worst part of the cravings.
there's something that you don't learn in the seminary. Okay, is like pregnancy cravings. Okay, so did you have this, Kira?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Okay.
Which, to everybody out there, this is why we're doing this podcast, is because we're both busy moms and we can't always make it to Bible studies. So we want to be able to, especially reach out to those parents and those families at the soccer fields, because that's where we are, and be able to meet you guys and talk about the faith. So, I've got 5 kids. It was with the oldest, so shout out to the kids. For the oldest, definitely pepperoni pizza and French fries. The greasier, the better.
Stuff.
The greasier, the better. And like you, it was second. I mean, my doctor told me I needed to lose weight. It was bad, but I didn't care because I didn't get sick. Like, it prevented me from getting sick. So
Interesting.
And to this day, he loves both of those. Like, could eat an entire large pizza now.
Okay.
Pepperoni.
So you wanted greasy food.
Greasy.
Okay.
The greasier, the better.
Salty, spicy, greasy.
Yeah, there you go.
Mine wasn't spicy, but then all of a sudden with my daughter, the next 2, I wanted a bean burrito from Taco Bell.
It's healthy.
I mean,
clearly.
Healthy.
My husband would leave
0 calories
and be like, "Hey, do you need anything?" He'd leave work at 9:00. Do you need anything? Yeah, I need a bean burrito. That's what I need.
So I take it nobody's wanting, say, tofu. I mean, like,
No.
okay.
No.
I think only you crave that, Father Ben.
So this
Did
is
you
how
invent tofu?
Oh man, I love tofu. So this is how this came up in the email. It said, Father Ben, did the Blessed Mother have cravings when she was pregnant with Jesus? And I said, well, I believe it or not, I wasn't there. Okay, I look like I was. And I don't really know if the church fathers had anything to say about that one.
Yeah.
I don't know. One never knows. Like, I wonder if the Blessed Mother had like food cravings.
I'm sure she did. I mean, she was a normal human being like we are, and she was young.
She wasn't actually a normal human being like we are.
Well, no, you are right. You are right. But she was human.
Yeah.
But she was young, so I'm thinking when you're young, that's when you want all the easy stuff ready to go. So if Sylvia has got a I would say so.
I mean, you would think the human side kicks in, and she's developing a baby. So, because it's really the hormones. It's really the big surge of hormones. So, I mean, just because she was immaculate, it doesn't mean
that she didn't have those food cravings.
I mean, hey, she could be up there going, no, I didn't.
Right.
But
well, and now she has access to whatever food she wants, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, her body is in heaven.
Yeah.
And
but then,
maybe
what
she
would food cravings be like back then?
Well, maybe I don't know. Maybe she said, Joseph, I got a mad craving for dates.
Yeah.
Okay, go get some dates and figs.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, who knows?
Or lamb.
Right. Right.
I'm sure she'll want.
Yeah. One never knows.
Yeah.
I know.
Well,
so I didn't know how to respond to this email. And so I was like, well, let me ask the professionals here. And so this is good. But it does kind of bring up the
I
issue.
keep looking at it. I'm going to listen as
let
we
me know what you
as we-
think.
Go
Let me know what
ahead,
you think.
Father.
And
Yeah, we're broadcasting here around the Feast of the Assumption. And so this was, how is it?
okay.
Yeah?
Okay.
Is-
I feel like
is
on
that-
the.
Yeah. We're being recorded right now. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
this
Okay, here's the sound.
is it kind of tart, kind of
It
sweet,
is.
almondy
Oh, yes.
mixed in there?
Oh,
You
it's
knew what to
perfect.
bring on day one.
Yeah, good. Okay, good. Yeah, I think that on the Feast of the Assumption, it's always good to kind of dig into what actually happened with this, and how is the Assumption, say, different than the Ascension?
Oh, yes,
So the
that's a big
Ascension
question.
of Jesus, the Assumption of Mary, Jesus ascended into heaven, as the Gospels tell us, and by his own power, Mary is assumed body and soul into heaven by the power of her Son. And so you guys may know this, and we have discussed this on a different podcast, is like the dogma. There's 4 dogmas of Mary.
Yeah.
And so the dogma of Mary, of the Assumption, was not proclaimed until November 1st, 1950. And so the big technical name for this is called Munificentissimus Deus, which means it's not a skin condition. Okay, so it means the all-bountiful God. So Pope Pius XII, who was the Pope at the time, his name was Eugene Pacelli. He was actually born in Rome, became the Pope of Rome, and the Bishop of Rome, which is very rare, obviously.
Yeah.
But 1950 was a big year for the Catholic Church with Pius XII, because right at the same time, same year, that the fourth dogma of Mary was proclaimed, that same time, he had an encyclical called Humanae Generis, or the Human Origins.
Okay.
And that's where he says that we Catholics are permitted to believe in evolution. And which is something that was debated hotly at the time. And he did say, this is a side note, he did say that while we can believe in a theistic, not an atheistic, a theistic notion of evolution, we cannot believe in what's called polygenism.
Yeah.
So if you're not familiar with that big word, that means basically that we came from many different parents. He said we believe in monogenism, that we started with a man and a woman, right? And ironically, we're just going to call them Adam and Eve. I mean, don't call me crazy, okay? And it is worth pointing out that scientists have traced the mitochondrial DNA of all humanity back to 2 parents.
Yeah.
So we're talking about a scientific reality here.
Which I love.
So but it's funny in his declaration on the Assumption, he never says that Mary died. It says, all he says was, at the end of her earthly life, Mary was assumed body and soul into heaven.
Yeah.
And so Catholics are free to believe that in the great dormition, or the great sleep of Mary, that she just fell asleep, or that she died. And I mean, I have my own opinion on that, but like we have the Church in Israel of the great dormition of Mary. And so it's really fascinating to think that right now Jesus is in heaven, body and soul, with his mom,
Yeah.
who's in heaven, body and soul.
It is.
Kind of cool thing.
It is. It was one of the things that I don't remember if I was at a talk or if I read it somewhere, where a lot of people always have the non-believers of that actually happening, that Mary assumed to heaven. And I remember one of the teachings that I received when I was younger was, well, the same way as Jesus. Has anybody claimed that they have remains, or that no city has ever claimed, like we have relics of so-and-so, and so nobody's really ever claimed the body of Mary. So same with Christ. So that, for me, when I was young, when I heard that, I was like, that is proof to me that at least if you are an atheist or whatever, that's something to think about. That opens up your mind. So as Hispanic, I remember the word Assumption, la Asunción, is always mistaken with Ascensión, because I think it's closer.
Right.
In the Ascensión, Asunción, it's just one letter difference. So the Hispanic families, it was very different. So growing up, remember we went to the church of the La Ascensión, the Ascension. So it was, is it Mary, is it Jesus? So Ascensión with an E for us was Jesus, and with a U was for Mary. So I know it's a little thing.
That's fun.
Father, can you tell us, is this a holy day of obligation?
Yes, it is. And so it sometimes, admittedly, sometimes varies according to year.
Yeah.
And so, yes, it is. It's the solemnity. And like the solemnity of the Immaculate Conception. So there's 4 dogmas, the of Mary, the perpetual virginity of Mary, of course, Mary, Mother of God, the first day of the year, the Immaculate Conception, 1854, and then 1950, the Assumption. So it is, and what often happens in the United States is they will transfer a certain feast day to the following Sunday. So what happens is it throws people off, including clergy. Because we're like, wait, why? What? And of course, Americans always think they're the exception of the rule. I know the church is doing, everybody else is doing, but we're the exception of the rule. And so it's just like, come on, people, really? I mean, and so maybe we can just go to church an extra time. But, not that we need it or anything. And so, but it is,
Yes. Thank you.
And with that, too, what is the main distinction about Mary that allows for her to be assumed into heaven and not everybody else who dies? What is kind of the main thing, the main reason that allowed that?
The reason she was given that honor?
Yes.
Yeah. Because number one, she was considered by the church fathers really the human tabernacle. The Catechism of the Catholic Church, when it talks about Mary and Vatican II and Lumen Gentium, which is kind of considered the doctoral thesis of Vatican II. There's 16 documents. It says that Mary is really God's master work. His masterwork. That's a word that it uses, and his masterpiece. Like he broke the mold, so to speak.
Yeah.
With the Blessed Mother, and frankly, I think this is one of the reasons why Satan hates her so much. While we hear in Genesis chapter 3. What's always been called in Catholic theology the proto-evangelium, or the first gospel, where God speaking to Satan says, I will put enmity between you and the woman, between your offspring and her offspring. And we see the same thing in Revelation chapter 12, where the dragon or Satan pursues the woman clothed with the sun. So just that in itself is somewhat telling, that if Satan is so very threatened by this woman, it must mean that there is something unique about her. And any mother will tell you that the greatest cross that they have is seeing their children suffer and not being able to fix it for them or take away their suffering. So it would make sense, so to speak, that the way for him to get back at the woman is to attack her offspring. And not only the offspring meaning Jesus, i.e. Genesis chapter 3, but plural offspring, chapter 12 of Revelation, meaning all of us. So the amazing heart of the Blessed Mother, the Immaculate Heart, which is always celebrated right next to the feast day of the Sacred Heart of her Son. So those two always united. So she was given that honor because she was considered really the first tabernacle, which we hear from St. Elizabeth. Who am I that the mother of my Lord should come to me? As soon as your voice reached my ears, the baby leapt in my womb. So she recognizes immediately that she's the living tabernacle, which is that line itself harkens back, way back to David, because King David, he's a shepherd. All of a sudden he becomes king. They're bringing in the Ark of the Covenant, and he says, "Who am I that the Ark of the Covenant should come to me?" So that line is kind of borrowed from David.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's kind of.
I remember hearing that that the original Ark of the Covenant, and then Mary being the new Ark, carrying Jesus. So I remember that as being young and hearing that too. What would you say, Father Ben, to all of those? I guess people in the pews are people that are non-believers that say, well, why do we have a holy day obligation or a holy day for Mary? And her assumption, if that's nowhere in the Bible, because I've been asked that question myself. So if someone comes up to us and asks us that, what is a good response that we can give them?
Great question.
Well, what I would say is really, what you should do is call Sylvia Vega. I mean, that's really what I would say. And here's her cell. Please call her at 3 a.m. if you would. No, I would say that from the Catholic perspective, obviously I'm kind of coming from that optic, but from the Catholic perspective, we would rely, as Vatican II said, Dei Verbum, this document Dei Verbum would say that we rely on sacred tradition, capital T, and we're relying on Scripture and also the teaching of the magisterium on these, right? So, for instance, it's our dogma of the perpetual virginity, that Mary was virginal before, during, and after the birth of Christ. That was never proclaimed by formal dogma. That's been a consistent teaching all throughout Catholic history. In the 16th century, with the Pope at the time, Pope Paul III, I believe, he talks about this. But this has been consistently taught. And so, like with the dogma of the Assumption, it was debated back and forth, as was the Immaculate Conception. I mean, Thomas Aquinas actually leaned against that. And so so it's really interesting. I mean, and when a pope, a lot of Catholics don't know this. It's not like the Pope, wakes up, has a strong cup of coffee, walks up to Mike and says, "Is this thing on? Listen up, I'm going to say this one time." and so like this is debated for hundreds of years. Going back and forth, and then they always work. The Pope will work in tandem with the magisterial teaching. It's 100% normal that some bishops would say no, and some would say yes. And so when it is promulgated by the Pope in union with the magisterial teaching, then it becomes de fide, doctrine. Right, and so we are required to believe it.
Thank you.
And I think it's also important for us to remember too that, like, I think we forget about the original people, the original apostles. Like Jesus gave John and gave the church his mother. And so John was an actual man. He was actually taking care of her. She lived in his home. Like, so all of those things that all of those eyewitnesses, that's part of our beautiful tradition, is that our traditions do come from these early people who were actually, she was a living woman, and they had these beautiful encounters. And and so, it's one of those things where it's like if John or if somebody said this happened to her, everybody would be like, yeah. We lived, we saw her. So the church, and I think we kind of forget that piece, that living history, that I don't know.
No, 100%. And that's a great point, isn't it? Because I think these are historical people that lived in history,
Correct.
that had human struggles, that had difficult days, and that's really important, because I think all of us would have had moments where we feel like, oh, maybe they had struggles, but they didn't have my struggles. They didn't have real life human struggles, because they were like superhuman superheroes that didn't, and that's just not the case. It's just not the case.
Yeah.
And so that's definitely true. Yeah, kind of cool stuff. Yeah. Man, we're so blessed to have the Blessed Mother.
So
We
excited.
are.
So excited.
And oh my goodness, so this is the really cool thing. So it is the feast of the Assumption, when we, on this day. And we also wanted to go live and do all of this because it's also Julia Child's birthday. Her birthday is on the feast of the Assumption.
I'm not sleeping tonight.
I totally,
I'm like,
I totally Googled it.
Yeah.
I was like,
yes.
how amazing is this?
Yeah.
So, yes.
That is very, very cool.
So
and I bet probably when Julia was at her height, she probably never knew that she was going to be in a Catholic podcast. I mean, my guess is she probably never saw this coming. And so, but then again, who knows? Who knows? I know she's in heaven, like making souffles for the Blessed Mother, probably.
Yes.
I mean,
so for everybody
beautiful
tuning in
image.
for the first time for the podcast, audio or YouTube and Facebook, please like, share our Facebook page, our YouTube, subscribe to it. That way you can see all the new things that are coming up. That is Soul Food Priest, and you'll see our logo, which is kind of looks like this when you look at the picture when you look for it. There is only one Soul Food Priest for us, though, Father Ben. But please share with everybody. Pray for us. Send us, topics or themes that you would like us to cover. Father Ben really looks into that, and we give all that to him. And, we really do want to hear what you have to say and want to talk about what you want to listen to. So please like, subscribe, share, and tell people about it.
And whether you want to talk about food or faith.
Yes.
Whatever question you have, you don't have to be a
Recipes.
Catholic. Yes, you don't have to be a Catholic or a foodie. But hey, whatever.
or even Christian. So,
Exactly.
So we'd
Yeah.
love to hear from you.
yeah. It's great to have you. Listen, do not forget to put soul in your food and give food to your soul. God bless you.